Not used to having the camera at this angle, but oh well. Oh, what's this? And they're like, oh, Gabe is live. And they read the many E's. Yes, that's true. Reading my voice in anything. Too nice to be enjoying VR again, says Krista. Showcasing the beans, I see. Anyway, back to chat. So where were we? We have Stars Wool, we have Fluffy, we have Batty Silence, and who else? Ard. Well, I'm doing okay. I was curious about this world that, I was at, and I wanted to check it out. I think this is gonna be a nice hangout spot for the little Christmas gathering I hadn't planned. Nice scenic views, and well, you have to see what the house looks like too. But I'm not gonna spoil you guys. If you know what map this is, then cool. Off to work I walk, says Vesper. Good luck on your walk. Don't trip, okay? Oh, I am in the bench there. This world is cozy. It really is, Art. It really is. I don't know if I want to invite you guys here ASAP or during the meet, but this is probably the best Christmas world I've ever seen. That's nice. If only there was a fourth camera that I could tap into and I could show you more of the views, but alas, we work with what we have. This is nice. If only my bitrate was being more generous, this would be 10 out of 10. But how is everyone? When you look at that, just 19 days until Christmas. Well, 19 days at my end. It just hit Saturday. It's 1:32 a.m. What time is it at your end? Good morning, Mincy. Did you finally get some much needed rest? I do believe Vesper kinda did some sleeping magic on you on the Discord. At least it was expected to help you. Hi, Crystal. I was just talking about you. I saw your image in the VR chat pictures and the Discord, and I was telling them you were showcasing not the coziness of fishing or getting back into VR, but somebody was showcasing their beans instead. The FNAF 2 movie, huh? I know a certain girl who's walking to work that would be very keenly interested in the film. Fluffy is it? Yes. I can already imagine it, Fluffy. Oh, I'm getting close. Are you there yet? You know, you're trying to fall asleep and whatnot. Like, oh, I'm getting. Oh heck, I didn't realize my beans were out. Sorry for the needs. Don't worry about it. I'm not so much as a prude, okay? Keep it, Krista, keep it. Where the heck is my drink? I'm immediately thirsty after just starting the stream. Hello, Waffle. Ah, I see you have Caros emojis. I need to check up on that guy sometime. Hello to all lovely people that's chilling. Pyro, how's it going? Your streamer is about to hydrate, self-hydrating before Crystal goes click the hydrate button. She's one of the ones that actually cares. Yeah, nice and cold pineapple juice. The juice that digests you back. Hold on, give me a moment. Also, hi there, Axel. Hello, Mystic. How are you? I've been worried about you because I saw your status in Discord. Don't bother me. It feels as if anybody who approaches you within a 3 feet vicinity, you are going to snap at. By snap at, I mean you're gonna bring out the wrench and do wrenchy things on organic things. I got gifted the subby, says Waffle Carp. Happy and thank for the little leaves. Super charming what Caro's doing. Hang out more in the chat. Crystal indecent beans tied, right? Absolutely haram, Habibi. We cannot have that here. I'm just joking. Yeah, Shark, we gotta love them now. Okay. Understandable. It's the blood moon, the red tide, the accursed week. Cranberry juice harvesting season. Hi, Axiom. Well, you look at that. We have nice green carrots and mangoes here present on my stream. How are you, Axiom? I hope everything's going well on your end. I adore your laughter again. Here I am, laughing as if I have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of money, chat. Headache absolutely screwed me up, says Axiom. At least I have your stream to get through it. Well, here, maybe this view will help. Look, Axiom, it's crisp. It's a nice world. I can't wait to show you guys. Really. Especially during our Christmas meet. I'm going to make sure that there's a requirement of all of us dressing up all holly and jolly for the festive season. Christmas hats, string lights, white and red garments, socks. You be creative as to how you would encapsulate the whole holiday feel. I myself will be working on it this weekend, don't worry. I figured if I start too soon, you'll get tired of it immediately. Hello, Howler. Did you know, Howler, it's you, Vesper, who are like the top friends that I chat with? I'm like, funny. I just on the DMs that I sent you, like the charming zipper picture or the bicycle chain mishap. I was checking my Discord checkpoint. I don't know. Surprise, surprise, Howler was there. Lovely choice of words, Gebo. Yes, I could go on. Okay, wait, it was all before you mentioned the picture. You know me, Howler. Yes. Your DMs are in distress. Funny enough, it snowed. Man, I wish I had snow here. I've experienced snow once in my life. At least once in a memory I'm able to recall. It's when I was young, I think 2 or 3 years old. I was in mainland China. Very thick snow. It was white all over. Yeah, but you were my top three too. Hey, look at that. DMs of productivity, surprisingly. Chilling Pyros just subscribed. Chilling Pyro. So you're both hot and cool at the same time. A flame that, well, cools. Chills. Your edgier nickname would be Freezer Burn, probably. Thank you for the subscription. I appreciate it. What's this? I still miss snow days. Oh, right. Arizona doesn't have it, huh? But it still gets deathly cold there, right? Beth was in mine, says Arn, which was a bit of a surprise since we don't DM a ton. Guessing it was the VC count. I think it's the number of hours in VC and the number of messages exchanged that's weighted. Mitzi says it was 8 degrees Celsius last night. A bit nippy. A bit nippy, hardy nippy is what I imagine. Bad joke, anyway. Gosh, that was very smooth. Well, the only thing smoother is your transition of being, well, again, being both hot and cold. Look at that. Blue Scale says, my Discord checkpoint showed one IRL friend, Hazard and Zephyr. To be honest, I'm kind of surprised the IRL friend was there because I barely play or talk with him. Oh my, oh my. Zero mention of the girl best friend ever since something hazardous has entered the scene. Her loss. Hello, Doran. You see, I really like how Doran looks now. Captures the festive season in advance compared to most. The little string lights by the tail, the Christmas hat on one of the ears, absolutely charming. We got our first December snow since 2017. What is it today? A 8-year gap since, huh? Gabo audio time. I'm cleaning up my house as we speak. I will most definitely not mention ice cream that needs to be bought for the other people around you, siblings. Fluffy Axel. What's the first image that comes into my mind? Nocturnal Assistance Cooperative Activities. Mistletoe. Cute, adorable, good boy. Many things that are just being caught up by my brain. Strange radio waves floating about. Doran says, gotta get in the festive spirit somehow, so I do it when I have it. And I appreciate you for that, Doran. I remember like a week ago, you're very vocal about being in a Christmas slump. Bah, humbug. And look at you. Complete 180. I'm glad you're happy. I'll try my best to keep you guys company during this Christmas. Like what I mentioned last stream. For those of you that are gonna be lonely on the 24th, midnight, well, I'll be there. You hush them lips up or I'm gonna have a snowball fight. Snowball fight. We gotta hang out again in VR chat. I think. The last time we saw each other, it was you were trying to get some sleep in VR and we dropped by for some midnight chat. I got my own personal reasons for not being the most festive, says Doran. But I'm making an effort to try now. And it's the effort that counts. I'm not going to pry as to why. The only thing I'm going to focus on when it comes to you is how much you try. As with most people, really. I'll admit I am a nosy kind of individual, but I've also learned that, well, It's the effort that counts when it comes to a individual overcoming personal struggles. Why, Fluffy, thank you so much. Here you are going, tossing some food into the pot. Speaking of food, I remember Ard and Beth giving me pizza money last week. No, last stream. Wow, my brain is so scrambled. What the heck? And if you were in the Discord, you saw that 8 cheese stuffed crust with more cheese pizza, right? It was so good. It was so sinful. Thank you. My, ugh. I still have so much. My initial problem was I have a small fridge. You know those hotel fridges that's only this high. So I said, how am I gonna fit the 3 boxes of pizza I bought? Beautiful logic kicked in and said, Geb, it just means you need to eat as much as you can in one sitting. So here I am eating 5 slices of that abomination that's delicious, and somehow I made it fit. So yeah, thank you so much. I am truly happy and grateful whenever people get me food. I'm always surprised that people can sleep in VR, says Arn. The headset would bother me too much. Same here. The most I can get is naps in VR, maybe 2 hours. I think that was in Popcorn Palace when I was sleeping with Vesper. Like she was watching, right? I was just watching The Corpse Bride. I was like, I surprisingly dozed off. Made it fit. Of course, actually. Seeing your little streams in Discord when it comes to doing simple kitchen duties is refreshing. No, see individual. I think that's just how thrill goes. Like, you know what? That's true. That's true. I probably have the pointiest face among all of us friends in VRChat. I'm good to hang out this week, says Mystic. When it's shark, we'd rather not be social and they're fine. Weekend it is. I completely understand. I don't do it often, says Lauren, but if I do, it's just because I can be around people I care about a lot. A very comfortable environment. Speaking of comfortable environment, we recently had an excursion into, guess where? The Black Cat, a public, not age-gated instance too, of all places. Yes, hearing the boo-hoos of mentally unstable individuals and all of the flashing lights and the trolls and the green toothbrush avatars, it was oh so refreshing. A good dose of culture and which makes VR chat charming. And then also reminds me as to why I absolutely prefer to be in private instances instead. I'm sure Doran had a 10 out of 10 time. And then we went to Just Be Club. There was LeBron James, the real one, most definitely in desktop mode, trying to pick up a friend of mine. It was so funny. Like, hey, baby girl, it's kind of busy there. How about we come here and talk? They said something like that. And then, of course, there was Woody from Toy Story who was in not movie clothing, crawling around, buttocks in the air. And then after that, we went to McDonald's. We had a bunch of kids playing waiter and giving us food. Luckily, Fluffy there was already a big old burger cat, so I said, no thank you, I already have food. I appreciate it. Beth, if only you were there. My goodness. Public instances for me, they're okay if you're with friends, you're with a group. alone or with two, they're going to quickly corner you and like, do the harassing thing. Surprisingly, because probably we're 6 or 7 individuals at the time, we were the group and people weren't messing around with us. Scroll back up. I want pizza now, says Chilling Pyro. Doesn't the screen light to the close eyes to serve the stream? There's this thing called dark mode in Worlds. It's the world for me. If I find a world comfy enough, I can fall asleep with ease, says Mystic. It's typically, for most people, the ambience of rainfall, the pitter patter on the roof, and the glass that helps a lot. Speaking of, I hope to Discord more during this December. We'll be seeing how it goes with me sleeping this much. 18 hours today, says Axiom. Oh, wow. Hello, Marshall. Congrats on being awake. Maybe Vesper has the pointless nose. She has a cuter nose now. Gebu and the Black Cat say what the... I was there. Look, Mystic. Remember the picture where you posted you were napping? Excellent shot, by the way. The bunch of photos posted below by me was when we went to the public instances. I have a video of the whole thing, actually. I will take some time to splice it, maybe post some highlights over at the Discord. Hello, Prince Kina. I already get nervous enough joining worlds with friends. I'm pretty sure public instances would strike me dead on the spot. Look, Doran, it was Doran's first time going to such places. Doran was the bravest of us all, being in the personal avatar. I was like, all of us were just masquerading as something else. Also, Arnold, boring. Look, they're already working a think tank with a bunch of eggheads, right? By eggheads, I mean brilliant-minded people, scientists and whatnot. So, speaking with a bunch of low IQ folk just like myself surely should not be a challenge to you. Wow. Low IQ, I mean low mathematical IQ. I had to repeat my algebra I think 4 or 5 times. That's what set me back a year. This we gotta see, says Mystic. You vastly overestimate the social skills of a scientist. Right, I forgot it's the complete opposite. Hello, Garden. Why do we all have to wear these ridiculous ties? We need to play Abiotic Factor sometime. I don't mind redoing the run. Me and Vesper have been meaning to finish the game. My goodness. At the end of the day, it was just the two of us who was just there. They're waiting for you, Gordon, at the test chamber. I love Half-Life 1. I feel very uncomfortable whenever I use any other Abby, so I decided to make an optimized one. I share that sentiment, Doran, completely. Unfortunately, I spent 3 or 4 hours trying to optimize this thing. It's easier to subdivide something with shape keys because there's a plugin that just works than it is to decimate and optimize this thing to 70k below polys. It just did not work, and I said, I give up. That's fine. Have public worlds be damned if I'm not allowed. I wonder if it's appropriate to call Art a scientist. Is it? That'd be cool. Hey, I have a scientist in my community. An actual scientist. White lab coat tie and all. Shield of pens in the front pocket. I would say supremely smart. Oh, I bet. I'm gonna poke all the scientist jokes at R next time we meet. Give me a moment as I check the Discord here. There, enjoy the science for now. What funny, dumb avatar thing should I do for Christmas game? I don't know, Axum. You're the one who's good at that. It'd be funny if you could have a snowman like thing that, you know, the 3-piece snowball, or you have a reason to have a really fat suit for the Christmas Santa look if you want. I'm still amazed at the Pokemon cards you've made, Axiom. So I'm sure you're not gonna be short of ideas when it comes to the Christmas gimmicks that you've mentioned. Axel, Axiom, Beth, Doran, Fluffy, Howler, and Strike are surprisingly are in BC. Oh. Oh, Gibbs looking at us. Quick, think of something, says Howler. Ard says, I guess I'm scientist adjacent. I don't have a PhD, but I have a lot of background in chemistry, physics, and math. Tried for a PhD twice in 2 different subjects, but didn't work out for various reasons. I'll just call you a scientist. I think that's better. You most definitely know more than I do. Vesper said, I made it to work mostly safe. Slipped on the sidewalk, tailbone to ice, but my jacket cushioned most of... Oh, I hope your tailbone's okay. It would be bad if there was a crunch. Oh dear. Also, good luck on your shift, love. Catch you later. Hello, dumber name. I'm surprisingly dumb about a lot of things. I know enough to know how much I don't know. Me, I'm just a jack of all trades sort of guy. I mostly just BS my way through things. Hello, Birdie. How are you doing? I'm doing fine. How are you? I surprisingly managed my 3rd or 4th night of 8 hours of sleep. Despite sleeping later during the day, around 2:30 p.m., I woke up at 10:30 in the evening. Yesterday, I had a whole lot of fun playing games with my friends. Looking back many years where I could hardly get a group going together, it was comforting to know that we could just spend time in VC doing our own thing, right? Just playing the same game. Unfortunately, max size of the group is 4, but we could join A or B at any time, any convenience. We need to do the summit some more. We need to finish it. Please get to floor 50. Summit, huh? Gosh. I have to do the summit twice. 200 floors. So I have to kill the hunter twice. You know, I'm curious. Am I the only one doing a Christmas themed stream? Let's go over to VR chat. Look at that, it's campus. Can I sit in your lap and... Of course, that's the #1 stream. This guy is definitely not using VR chat, but why are they in VR chat? Okay, e-girls in the first row, more e-girls on the second, except it's a bit more furry. Hold on, I know this guy. Bensicle, I didn't know he played VR chat. Oh wow, lots of blue and black fellows. Looking great. Hold on. Let me check this one out real quick. What is the base?
Emoji.
This is an artist I follow on Twitter. I really like their art. Nice. Maybe a follow later. Anyway, wow. Just another day on the VR chat category, says Mitzi. Right, what's new? At the risk of sounding silly, I'm a big fan of gothic styled avies. Still have yet to find or make a proper furry avi. I am. Do you play VR chat? I didn't know. Look, listen, I like me a good goth girl too. I'm just not a big fan if they have like a whole jewelry shop's worth of piercings on their body and too much makeup, dazzle, and sparkle. Hmm. Does Luna count as a goth girl? Or is she more of a punk? I'm not sure. You know, that silly hellhound, Wyatt. Red eyes. Oh gosh. Indeed, I do, but new people are scarce, usually hide in my little corners of the world. Break down. What headset are you using? Good old Quest? Deathkeeper chance? Shaking my elderly head at getting got confused with punk. I'm not really cultured into both of these scenes, so you can please very much educate me on what the stark differences between the two are. Goth, I believe, is lots of whites, lots of blacks, almost black and white. Heavy eyeliner, black lipstick, black nails, and black clothing. Punk is more of leaning on the anarchist side of things. Punk is more 80s. Big old mohawk with bold colors, ripped jeans, and whatnot. Punk is more metal and leather, I believe. Wow. Oh, right. When I think punk, these are the guys that you usually beat in the tutorial area or first level of any RPG. Right? You run into them like level 1, 2, or 3 goons. Patch vests and whatnot for punk. Oh. Punk is a lot louder than God. I see. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was neither. I was. Hell, how the heck did I dress back then? Very anime inspired. If you look at one of my videos I posted before on social media, it was about college fashion, I believe. It was how I dressed up as a delinquent back then. Like the typical Chinese/Japanese delinquent. Quest 2, but I use PC Link. I'd been more goth punk then. I'm not sure. A lot of overlap in the subgenres. It would be interesting having a conversation with an actual goth and an actual punker in the same room as myself. I wonder how that's gonna go in VR chat. At least you didn't commit the sin of getting goth confused with emo. I was super close. The gods hate that. I forget art is pretty much advanced in the years, so the goth, the punks, is more than just a fashion statement for him. It's the actual culture of it. Hmm. I mean, they both rock the same style, right? Ooh. Hiya, Beth. Nice to see you. Goth versus emo is some serious beef, to be honest. Let's see how invested Batty is. Batty, do you have full body tracking in VR chat? No, no, a goat wouldn't be caught dead with raccoon tail hair. That scene. Oh my god. What scene versus goat and emo? There's so many people in the drive-thru. I wonder what they're doing. Of course. Let's just keep quiet about the quiet blessings I've made for today. Increase in bitrate. Don't worry, Biffs. My asthma's going to take over after. I'm just listening to them since action. What is the conversation, breakdown? Curious. Scenes of like is like a more outlandish emo, more colors and beads and crazy hair. Seeing his bright, colorful patterns and fluffy hair, lots of colorful accessories from what I've seen. Is that like pastel god? Fluffy, thank you. Keeping the stream afloat for the day. I appreciate it. As much as I like the lo-fi Christmas, I'm gonna go back to yes. What a time, says Art. Art says scene came just after my time in high school. Preppy and emo was my era. The age of early 2000s fashion mistakes. Scene is just colorful emos without the sad music part. Ah. You should look at how the emo scene in the Philippines was during the early 2000s. It's icky because it's really hot in our country and public transportation would always have you sweaty and not so pleasant, even after a short ride. I think I've never been in a scene like that. Curious. What was your fashion back then when you were younger, Fluffy? And then I'm gonna ask the same question to Beth. I mean, surely you weren't bald when you were in elementary and high school and early college, right? Unless you were like Lex Luthor. I was imagining early 2000s skinny jeans in a place like the Philippines. Oh, that was it. Skinny jeans, the long hair draped over one eye like that, and it's held by gel or whatever. And then super oily faces. You had to use the oil patches to do that. Pa, 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 pa. Dad's interrupted my engagement. About time I fix this real quick. I don't remember. What question did I ask you again? Full body. I was wondering if you had any. You didn't have to, Pat. You already made me some cool art, you know. Thanks all the same. So nice here. I could just sit here for hours. It's what I'm literally gonna do today, but you know what I mean. Alright, since my high school was a Catholic school with a dress code, we didn't really have a lot of choice. Same here. Half of my elementary and my high school was under a Catholic school. I was even part of the choir because it was mandatory. I had to sing in a church. Funny faces make my friends laugh. Gosh. Satic says, today's my last day at my current job and I bought my coworker's pizza. Oh god, we're back to the pizza talk. I feel like it should have been the other way around. It most definitely should have been the other way around. They give you the farewell hurrah, not you scrounging the last little bits of money to say farewell to co-workers. I don't have full body, no. My PC needs to be upgraded before I can use the gear I was gifted. Oh, that means it's just waiting. What's this? I also went to a Catholic school, but on free dress days, I went punk rock, of course, yeah. Look, listen, I see any girl with like thigh highs, you know, the nice and black. Oh, gorgeous. Thigh highs combined with short shorts or, what was that? I remember this girl rocking it with a skirt, like a dress. It looked like kind of old school, but really well. Hello, Groothy. Hmm. I wish there was a way I could enable shadow casting on worlds. Had to look high school, huh? I remember when they were almost about to outlaw hair gel. They deemed it outlandish. Absurd, I know. Uh-huh. An announcement from Venti. What is this? My mount is not currently compatible with a Halo strap. Okay. Yeah, sure. I've given up on the babble. It will probably never arrive. Not that I need it anymore. I dressed pretty boring for many years, not gonna lie, says Art. Then, like 5 years ago, I got piercings and a tattoo, and now I have a much louder wardrobe. I like how you keep up being stylish, Art. Most people, as they advance in age, they tend to be more subdued when it comes to dressing up. I think it kind of plateaus at the 25s, and then it just comfy clothing, practical clothing, yes. Me personally, I just rock the same look every day for the past, I don't know, almost 10 years. It's black cargo pants, a fitted black shirt, a wristwatch, and then my boots. It's so simple. I'm making up for lost time. I mean, that's smart. So you ask my look back in the day. Long hair, beanie, t-shirt. T-shirt. Okay. I think it's t-shirt. Thing, generic skater kid. Ah, yeah. So you had like the Vans for the footwear. I am curious. The image I have of Beth is probably so far removed from how he actually looks. Because right now, I imagine him, the great Demon King, to either look like Goldberg or Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's what I imagine him to be. You know, all the hair's concentrated here, beer in one hand, be Beth with this tea shit. That's new. Hello, Litz. Greetings. Yeah, sure, Beth. Why not? Show me your skater years. Waffle says it's never too late. You can be 8 in Silver. If the knees and back can handle it. I mean, have you seen Ozzy Osbourne on his last performance? He was still trying to stand up, but yeah. Ah, sad. Yeah. I remember sharing my college pictures with Matthew. We were exchanging pics because the topic came up. And Matthew looks the same as he is now. Some people kind of lock in their appearance early, and then me, I'm. Yes. Ah, K pop, yes. So I wonder how Litz is like rocking fashion wise. Some Yodelehihu. Nice thing about this place is I can stand up with no obstructions in front of me. Ugh. I never would have imagined Matthew to look like he does to be. Really? I think he looks exactly how he sounds. That's the cool thing. Uh oh. Ignore that. I have no idea what style I was rocking in high school. All black, used to dye my hair different colors. I think you're in the exploratory part of dressing up. Or something like that. He's a solid 8.5 out of 10. Jason Statham, the transporter. Except he kinda lifted a bit too many heavy boxes and his back is suffering from that. I really just keep it to athletic wear, says Axel. So Axel is in the fitted speedo spandex sort of deal. Good evening, lovely internet people. Hello, Pascal. To me, Matthew looks like he starts every sentence with hi and oh my gosh. You're telling me Matthew looks exceptionally fruity and lives in a valley? The heck? No. What's athletic wear then, Axel? Look, until I see a concrete image, I will imagine how it looks. So either you said how I should see it, or I keep on speculating how it looks. I miss dyeing my hair, says Batisanas. What colors did you get, Vesper? I think she got Karen Blue, was it? It wasn't they them green. You know it's bad to talk in people's back, Mr. I was saying you were handsome and you look like Jason Statham. What higher praise can a balding man have than be compared to the transporter himself? Just dry fit clothing. I always like my jeans as fluffy, long sleeve and wool coats in the winter. Wool coats? So, okay, I was imagining something else. Some escorting a line of people heading to like a camp of some sort. They're kind of malnourished, but hmm, it just dawned on me. Messages make boop boop. I'll send older pic after stream, but I sent your current pic. Oh, you did? We are going to see the current Biff. Yo, he looks exactly how I imagined him to be. How do you have the neatest facial hair ever? Looking absolutely lovely. Now I am so curious about the college era. What's this? I'm just fat, lots of candy yippies. It's such an axiom thing to say. I will not doubt it. You've seen me in my presentation clothing. I guess that image holds in. The presentation clothing reminds me of those boxy cars, right? I don't know why. The old 90s boxy cars. They're great. They run great. They have a classic vibe to it. A little geometric in aesthetics. But overall, fine. No worry, Axel. At least it's not a tail in the butt. I bought the Quest 3 last week, says Kartosheshka Live. Best week of my life. Oh, I hope you're having fun in whatever you're doing with the Quest 3. I assume VR chat. Ew, Fluffy. Oh, wait a minute. That sounds kind of like 80 years ago or something. Pascal says Transporter 1 is the only one that exists in my book. Maybe because I'm biased to BMW. Transporter Crank. I forget that Geb has actually seen what I look like. Curse those Discord mod bots. I think you look great, Art. Very stylish. Very attractive for the age. A deep blue that was almost black, red, purple, never did green, ginger orange once it washed out immediately. Oh, I see. No, Vesper went with the whole LGTV look, right? OLED sub-pixels. It's not my preferred clothing, but hey, it's the only decent pic of me I've got. Oh, you mean the presentation one? I think you look fine, Axel. I'm trying to think hard who you resemble. You. I would need a updated photo to better formulate the semblance thing. Fluffy says I still got a pic of me from when I was like 17 years old of how it would go out. Well, feel free to send it over if you want. I mean, I just saw Biff. He looks as jolly as he sounds. I have a pic a friend sent me once of like 4-year-old me. Oh, cool. I do have a picture of me being, I don't know, 5 years old, and I had a tomato stuck on my finger. Why? Because I decided to go touch the stove while it was still hot, and lo and behold, a burn. It was me a couple of weeks ago. You know what? Good point. Congrats, you got college photo as well. Oh, really? Yo, that's so different with hair. The stones. What happened? Is that the same pair of glasses now? Oh, how hair can change an individual. My goodness. I remember when I had super short hair too back then. Yo, look at Fluffy looking awesome. Oh my goodness. Right? Look at that H youth going on. Hold on. There we go. Holy crap. I If there was any team-based games, I would hope and pray to be on your side, Fluffy. Well, you gotta be specific with what bad life advice you want, Kartusheshka. Axel really did win, didn't he? Oh, wait, I just got it. Oh my god. Yeah, Axel really did win. 100%. Got a free six-pack in the package, too. Krista goes, already out of VR and letting the headset charge. Oh, you were chilling in VR, correctissimo. Mm. Should I have a little meetup again after? Like, the public excursion thing was just out of the blue. After stream, I met up with some friends. No, I went to the furry hideout first. I streamed it on Discord. Litsa got intrigued. Matthew got intrigued too. They hopped on. More people hopped on. Dorian hopped on. And then, bam, we had like a full adventure going on. Even Vesper hopped on late. She joined us right as the Black Cat. Are the VRC gatherings open to any Discord members? You gotta have your introductions typed in, and you have to be in the VR chat group. That's all, really. If you apply it now, you will 100% be eligible to joining Silence. Besides, these little gatherings and meetups and whatnot, these are predominantly a small amount of people, ranging from 4 to, I don't know, the biggest was like 9 or 10. And it was all just people wanted to say hello and whatnot. It's funny, I remember people just being strangers by the campfire I put out in One World many months ago. And then lo and behold, look at them now. So close, so entangled in the friendship. Had your stream up as I was fishing. Oh, God, you flatter me so much, Crystal. Thank you. Intro already done. I just need to get in the group. Well, let me know what your VR chat handle is so I don't not allow it. I read the bios of people wanting to join the group. You see, I'm not after numbers when it comes to members. That's about the quality and if, well, me seeing if you're gonna mesh well with the rest of the people. I don't like it with people who trauma dump, join the group, and then just go make it awkward for the rest of the people. Chilling Pyro says I must be going. Hope you all have a wonderful time. I will see you around and thank you for the subscriptio. Sounds like Furry Hideout is the key to getting people online and into a group. Following that logic, probably. But I do believe my social battery, and especially Doran's and the others, require a recharge before attempting another adventure as that. Also, though, those are not the same classes. I figured. Oh man, Fluffy, I am so envious. You can dress up good that way. It's impossible for us to dress like that here in the Philippines because of how hot it is. Ah, man. If only. Picture taking. Ah, look, Crystal looking so pretty. How detailed those jeans are. What? Gosh, those lashes are so luscious, a bird could make a nest out of them. Whoa. Anyway, where were we? Back. You just need to be willing to suffer for style. I did before. It was atrocious. Not a good decision, let me tell you. Then again, I still do the same, just I could wear lighter clothing whenever I go ride my motorcycle, right? That I currently don't have, that I currently am saving up for. Oh god. I remember trying leathers just because. And I end up dehydrated and I said never again. Fluffy has luscious eyelashes. No, I was talking about Crystal. I was looking at her VR chat photos. How should I get the username to you? You can DM it to me. Or you can apply now and then I'm gonna see the request. Salas. I gotta hop off but might be back later, says oh so great scientist number 852 Ard. And I might be able to hang out after. If work things don't explode in the meet, don't say that. You're in a lab, you're a scientist, and you say work things don't explode. They will most definitely explode. At a certain percentage of yes. Sure, I don't mind hanging out in VR chat a bit. You guys are invited to join. What can happen will happen, says Mitzi. Do we call Mitzi a technician if Ard is the scientist? Might join will maybe be mute. How about you tend to the headache that you have, Axiom, and start feeling better first? Mitzi is the sleepy. I think Mitzi is the first person I've really reprimanded digitally, including Vesper more so. Because she times out Mitzi. We're not sleeping properly. Look at what happened at Black Mesa, right? See, you shouldn't push the funny thing into the something spectrometer. I forgot what they call the apparatus that cost the whole damn thing. I need to do some edits to the model, says Crystal. The length of the lashes bother me as well as how much the knees bend back. Ah, okay. Vesper reprimanded me for lack of sleep, says Matthew. Because we care and we love you, Matthew. Just not the background noise whenever you're on Discord. No habla español. Blah, 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 blah. We hear all the Spanish in 8K super duper HD. Oh my god. When Matthew tries to speak up, it's like, can you guys please keep quiet? Oh, never mind. He's gonna get his ass whooped. Hello, lemongrass. One day, most definitely. And no, don't buy the mask thing that you showed me, Matthew. The one that's supposed to keep things quiet. Matthew was indeed playing telenovelas in the background. 100%. There's some marimar going on, Yeah, oh my god, the muzzle. I mean, if you're into that sort of stuff, Matthew, there's nothing I can do. I already gotta go do my one class of the day. I'll catch you around. Actually, you focus on your education, and you do great today. I still have 8 hours to go on the timer. Was it that long? I told Vesper just enough for. Or was it me? I don't remember. Hello, Wask. Welcome to the stream. Oh yeah, Fluffy. The fit now. Da, 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 da. Fluffy, you have the mustache. You have the Austrian painter stash. What? Please tell me this is the shadow. Hold on. No, it's not. It's not. Where's that gift? No, no way. I'm so proud of you. You're like PewDiePie. Except, you know, you did things. You did things that history doesn't want to remember. Fluffy has the I'm not joking, Beth. You gotta look. He's got the whole thing going on. Yeah, but I got some amazing news. You got money to share? I mean, so what's up? What's the amazing news? Moogle, huh? So you play Final Fantasy. What's this? Alright, gotcha. Okay, alright, Mr. Handsome, gotcha. Some AI add facial hair, very sparse, remove thickened square mustache below nose. Yes. I'm sorry, chat. You may be wondering what's happening. I'm receiving DMs from people and I am delighting the ocular orbs in my head with what I'm saying. I'm crying. I would love to stick around, says Lemongrass, but I have to get some sleep. Good night, Lemongrass. You are a aroma I absolutely love when it comes to tea and making rice. Lemongrass. Finally got me a new MetaQuest 3, so now I can friend you on VR chat. Pretending to talk, ba. Oh my goodness. I can't believe Fluffy has the stash. I am flabbergasted and amazed. Right? It's look, it's right next to some power armor too, right? Some exosuits. So that completely reminds me of Wolfenstein. I'm sorry. I'm simply poking fun at my friends, Chair. Where were we? Based nationalist socialism. Hello, Dip. I'm back now. You can react. Congratulations on getting your headset. I hope you make a lot of meaningful connections now that you can foray in the worlds of VR. Lots of interesting people, lots of not so interesting, nasty people. You avoid this latter one. But in all seriousness, I'm glad you had the confidence. I applaud the confidence of you sharing those images. And one thing I can say is, my Discord community is surprisingly good looking. I've been on VR before, says Gavar. Gavar. That's two V's. Was just out for a while because my old one got misplaced, lost to the ether, got absorbed by the servers. Can I friend you? Of course. We will go to the process of getting to know each other first before any friending, right? As with any and all of the community members I meet. Look, Howler, like the third person I talked to the most on Discord, surprisingly, I ignored his friend request for like 55 days. Because I didn't know who he was. Like now he's like, no. I chat with him so much. It's so dumb, I know. I just believe there is a process to friendship, and that's acquaintanceship first. Because I wish not to disappoint. Like, okay, I'll be your friend, but can I actually be a good friend when we find out we don't really click with each other? Right? You see, friendships, these are commitments. Do a little litmus test first. Litz as well was just a viewer, a lurker. Now she's on the list of cool people. In my friends list. Now I know she's still like a little bit mad about the whole, what? Europeans don't take a bath every day? I'm Asian, okay? All my life, it was drilled into my brain. It was beaten into me with sticks that I need to shower every day. That's why they're called friendships. They need to stay afloat. You get plus 5 points for that clever Tengu. That's true. Go join the Discord first. Go chat around. Say hello to the people, whatnot. Let me get to know you, and then, who knows? Imagine to be cool. You're more than cool, Fluffy. I mean, you're already like way up there in the list of awesome people. Your typing fingers betrayed you so hard. That is the first time I've ever seen a Moogle that's grown up. I am so concerned. Normally, they're really cute, floating little creatures. But seeing them on a grown man's body. Ooh. Have you seen like the Pikachu cosplays, but they're like people? That's kind of like the effect I'm seeing. Instead of Pika Pika, it's like Pika. Man. Your server requires that I'm 18 plus. The first thing You get to know about me is that my birthday is being 1998. Yes. Let the guy who failed math 5 times do math. Okay, yeah. I was about to say. That you don't need to say that here, you know. There's a introductions channel in the Discord for that. Man. Sometimes I wish I could process food faster so I could eat more of the pizza, the sinful cheese pizza with 8 cheeses and a stuffed cheese crust. Hmm. Welcome to servers that caters to adults only without being NSFW. Gavar. Man. Remember to stay hydrated. Nobody wants to redeem the hydrate because they're saving points for that special MEOW thing. I wonder what that could entail, redeeming that 100k thing. Because Salis said so. I'm gonna go hydrate. Send Fluffy a pic with my hair. He just said, keep. I used hydrate so many times. I run out of points, says Crystal. It just means you care a lot. See, Crystal gets the badge if cares about the streamer despite not being there all the time. Hold on. Let me go see who's applying for the group. Salis, if you've applied, I did not see it. Or rather, I can't see it. Let me know. Cinnamon Delight would want to join the Gebo Shadow Genesis. It's a Volper. View profile. Okay. Starring fitness. Steady. This looks familiar. Ah, and so we have the request. Time to read. Here for the fans. I have a terrible memory and you'll forget everything. You've completely forgotten that you wanted to apply. Yes. I struggle with tone and social cues, so don't take it personally. Which means I can tell you, Batty Salis, you sound kind of A or ooh. You gotta sound E, okay? By the way, Gib, can I give my points away to someone who's your command? There is no such command. According to my knowledge. And I appreciate the generosity towards another person. If Sal is going to be our second human member in the group, the crown being taken by Litza. guess. Good luck trying to get the password. Everybody, don't spoil Gavar what the password for the server is, okay? I'm looking at the verified channel right now. Biggest clue I'm gonna tell you is it's 2 words only. More strains, right? I wonder. Having more people about. Oops, hello. Biggest surprise of the year was. What was my biggest surprise of the year? Biggest surprise of the year probably is when I changed avatars. It's when not only did I discard my old look, which surprisingly is still looking like this, but it how should I say this? It also brought about a new wave of people that I'm thankful to have. Hopefully they get it faster than last. Oh my goodness, what was their name again? Gosh. We're rooting for her for the past hour and a half on that particular stream. I don't know about that, Mitzi. Matty Salas says it just means I don't get jokes sometimes. They fly over my head, and I'm only half human. Been a furry since 2012. Alright. Well, I hope you're as cool as I imagine you to be, Salas. I'll bump into you one day. One day, maybe later. I don't know. Who knows? Zion, yes. Zion was a legend, fighting the end with the password. Right. Poor old Zion. Oh, and I just kicked my drink. Uh-oh. You need to stretch too. I'm not gonna let you know. You see, you need to get it correct by yourself. And also, the password that you are, well, entering towards is a bot, not me. So you have to get the syntax correct. 1:1. That's not by the big data, but pardon me. I don't control how long it is. Good luck. Surely you can get it. Just gotta use these things. And then this. And what do you know? There you have it. Just like that. No hour-and-a-half struggle. Congratulations. Now, the next thing you gotta do is make sure you read the handbook again and type in your introductions. It's super important that you do, or else Vesper's gonna come in with the broom and show you the way out. She's so strict about that. Pero the yawns, huh? If I open my Ubisoft thing right now, I wonder who's in the division. Soft Connect. Yeah, load up. Ah, rent. Oh my, of course, Beth, Fluffy, Howler, and Matthew are in the division. I hope you guys are having fun. I'm super not missing out or anything. Also, Matthew, we need to continue the summit, and we need to bring you, Fluffy, getting those guys some good gear. What are you guys up to? Hello, Passively Panda. We are in the summit. Oh, what floor? I need to get to floor 100 twice. You're in 33 already. My goodness. Ah, good. It means I can skip over and join. Nice. I'm finding the right color shorts and cap. What?
Summit Gober.
You found that in the summit? Wow, you guys must be getting really good gear. Thanks, Bev. My goodness. So, floor 33, 300. I see. I see. I wonder what floor you guys can reach by the end of my stream. Totally not gonna hurry up or anything so I can join. No, no, sir. I know. The conflict, isn't it? What to do? Beth, Beth should dress up as Santa. I, for one, fully support the statement. We're gonna have Beth dress up as Santa. He has to have like a fat suit, right? So he can live up the Santa look 100%. And then he's gotta have the white beard. Right? We can help dress him up. It's just a little bit of blender work. But Santa has we can have some creative liberty with it. We can donate all the hair that's on his head to be like on his front. He can look like he's going to fly his sleigh towards two towers or something. You know, that extra here, none here. Give gifts to all of the hardworking businessmen and women. Dusty, you don't know what's under that hat. So, in the few times I've hanged out with Beth in VR chat, I can wholly confirm that atop his very, very handsome visage is a absolutely sparkling round noggin. Yep. It's strange seeing a Foxy Paws avatar with no hair. Oh my. Oh, is it the funny thing? The boat held up in top of two buildings. Or was it a different country? I don't remember. I had made thine introduction, alright. Time to read. Alright, so we have Gavar, Samugel, a dragon, art, swimming, biking, movie watching, white, yellow, cyan, purple, green, blue, loves role playing in general. Oh my goodness, I just reprimanded somebody in general for role playing. Okay. Of course, that was literally taking it. Keep the role playing in the server to DMs chat or in. Yes, there. Don't do the UWU and the cringy stuff in the open place. I am playing alone with my companion in Zoo. Zoo? Hmm. Hello, Snow Nose, eh? I wonder. Sorry, my thoughts just drifted to the idea of riding outside and then it's snowing. Obviously, that's not gonna happen because of two factors. I don't have a bike and there's no snow here. And I think people don't really ride when it's snowing. I've heard from my friends in Europe and America that during winter they actually stow away their bikes for months just to bring it out again when it's spring. Understandably so. I would not want to slip and slide on a machine that is more than what? 3 times my weight. Ah, okay, then you're totally cool. Did I say hello to Snowdozer? I think so. Man, yeah, Vesper's gonna be home. Not anytime soon. She's still stuck in her shift. Also, I'm trying to adjust my futon. She's still stuck on her shift until. Oh, cute. 5 hours from now. Oh no. Gonna be missing out on a lot of division. Speaking of which, how many of you guys in chat are going to be spending Christmas on your own? When I say on your own, in your own residence, you're not gonna be going out to visit family and whatnot. And then you're going to be greeting it on the midnight of the 24th. Fluffy says, yeah, storing it away in winter, but there are some nice winter days to ride. I wish. Sadly, spending all time alone. Hey, it looks like I have one that's sure to attend then. I'm going to be hosting family this year. It will be something. Good luck, Crystal. But knowing you, you seem like a sweetheart when it comes to gatherings. You'll do excellent. I have family in town, so that's where I'm going to be. You enjoy your time with family, whether you want to spend it with them or not. Oh, how come back then when we were kids, the whole family gathering, everybody visits during Christmas was so much nicer? I don't know, maybe because we really didn't have any worries when we were younger. It was just all about, oh, uncle's here and the nephews, the nieces, and we get to play. Or, like, hey, let me show you my computer in my room, sort of deal. And then the adults go chat downstairs. And while they prepare the food, they break out the wine and whatnot. We go down, we get some of the snacks, we run back upstairs and just play. Golden times. The concept of online multiplayer did not exist back then. Mm-mm. It was all about the PlayStation 1 or 2. Blake's family is a lot blunter than I am. But I do love them, just not for more than 2 consecutive days. So completely understandable. Same here. Back then, it was real life multiplayer. Correct. That's true. It was couch co op. Controller A, controller B. Controller B would typically be crappier, the one without the analog sticks. I won't host my own family, that's a can of worms. Ew. Well, I get it. You know, family is nice and heartwarming in controlled doses, especially once you're leading independent adult lives. It's not nice when they start being nosy and whatnot, telling you what to do, how to do it, and whatnot. It's like, oh, you're so fat already. You eat so much. Why you give me no grandson yet? You know, that better be a baby in your belly. Yeah, God, the older folk are really blunt with what they say. Lit says my limit is 3 days with family and generally people around within close proximity. Then I'm ready to be left alone again. Yes. Why no doctor yet? You know, our neighbor, their child is a neurosurgeon, Air Force pilot, astronaut, and the surgeon. They're gonna do all the comparisons, yes. I love it. Yeah. Whenever it's a talk of grades, in an Asian family, it's scary as heck because, being a Bishan when you're supposed to be an Asian is a big no-no. You fail math again? I have no son. Especially when dementia comes into play. Luckily, I did not run into mentally ill family members. They were just being what they are. Where is wife? Where is husband? Oh my god. But now that I'm thinking about back at it, it's kind of funny. The cliches are hilarious. They really don't mean ill. They're just absurdly blunt with asking questions. Because they've grown up, of course, with the classical nuclear family sort of mindset. You go to school, you graduate, you work under a company, you find a significant other, you have kids, and then you grow old and retire. The typical life, right? Have 2 kids, a brother, a sister, blah blah blah. Rinse and repeat the cycle. Yeah. That's why you can talk about the freaky aunties and uncles. They're gonna ask you like weird stuff or invite you to like stuff that you can't really relate with. And they always have that boisterous laugh. Like, oh, you should join us with my shooting buddies. We go fishing. We shoot the fish and then we eat it. They're going to do that and whatnot. And you're just, yeah. I'm gonna, yes. Oh my god. Oh man. But that's the good part of it. The bad part is when it involves in-laws and then they hate each other's guts. It's such an awkward frozen feeling. And you know the chat during Christmas dinner is going to be gossip about said people they don't like. It's gonna be all, as we call it in the Philippines, it's all choo-choo, choo-choo. There's so much chat, gossip. I wish I could talk more about the topic, but I have yet to experience Christmas with my folks in, gosh, more than a decade now. It's always just been pretty much on my own. Maybe with a few friends on online games. Luckily, now there's VR chat. I get to spend Christmas here. I wonder how that's going to be. Exciting prospect. I hope it's as fun as the Halloween party we've held with the costumes and whatnot. Vesper says, before my grandma died, she had high blood toxicity, so she pretty much caused rapid onset dementia. Very uncomfortable when your grandma thinks you're your mom and starts talking, when are you going to give me grandbabies? Lady, I am your granddaughter. That's hilarious. I am the result of the request you're asking. So that's also ironic because she's literally toxic in the blood. It runs in the blood. Also, I assume there's not much people at your shift today, Vess. What's that? Busy patches and slow patches, but I won't be going home early, of course. If only. No grandkids, no thank you. I am good. Listen, I can't even take care of myself 110% the way I would. What, you think I can afford having kids? Good news, no explosions. Hooray! You know, it would be nice, Art, before you return back to the lab, you leave any and all valuables here with me, your wallet, for example, and card. So if any mishaps happen, at least those things are safe. Remember, bruises, cuts, and burns, they heal. Money doesn't. You even got some free advice. You have two deposit boxes. This is the irregular one, and then we have the premium one over here. Keep it safe, 100%. Imagine just working in a lab with multi-million dollar equipment that's so sensitive. You look at it wrong, it like loses calibration. I appreciate your considerations. Oh, please, you know me, ever so caring and ever so sincere. Grandkids. I don't know, weird. I have friends that are kids because I used to work on motorcycles, right? They would visit the garage, they'd watch me work, they would think it's like super cool what I'm doing, and we would just chat, ask them how their school is and whatnot. They offer a refreshing in energy when it comes to conversations because their insight into things are not muddled by modern day politics per se. They're very, how should I say it, true to their answers. If they like something, if they don't, if they think it's cool, I ask them why. It's refreshing. Sometimes you gotta have conversations with kids to ground you back into seeing the world isn't as bleak of a place as we all imagine it to be. I never thought I would reach the part where my uncle would say, or my dad, well, my mom would say, my older brother would say, I see myself in you when I was your age, and then I look at these kids. The roles are reversed, like, oh god damn, I'm old, huh? Nowadays, I'm seeing videos on the internet. Children are very different when it comes to upbringing. They're smarter, but not wiser. They are utterly dependent on digital devices handed to them since they were young. They have such screen dependency, it impedes their social growth to such a degree, and pretty much a lot of other factors. Sad, really. And a lot of these kids don't have a backbone. They don't even know how or what to stand up for. They're kids these days. That's precisely I can absolutely be the cool aunt. But I cannot stand being around children for long periods of time. My aunt bringing along my baby cousin was Rasputin on Thanksgiving. Wailing, screaming, no thanks. Let me spare myself the headache. Watching them for a few hours and I'm willing, okay. If not, I will teach your kids to cast. Yeah, I don't mind being the cool uncle. I always resign myself to being just big brother Geb. I help you with the little things and give you advice with the things I know, but I myself don't want to raise kids. Alright, it's a short version. I've accidentally gassed myself when trying to neutralize some acid. I've accidentally gassed myself when trying to neutralize some acid, and I've inhaled nanoparticles because no one told me I should be wearing PPE. That's such a scientist thing to say. That's so funny. So, last stream it was the balloon crashing onto Beth's yard. Now it's a mishap with the inhaling. Crystal says, I cannot stand being around my 10-year-old brother. I love him, but every time I see him, he's grabbing my mom's and stepdad's phone and demanding money from me. So he can buy his, like, what's this? Robux. Vesper says kids these days know no emotional regulation unless it's with their iPads. Sad but true. Waffles asking, did you get superpowers later? Nanoparticles as the acid fumes. You know, that's kind of cool if you think about it. I blame the parents for using screens to get their kids to sit still instead of engaging with them. Parents made iPad kids. It's disheartening. Fact. My mother, I was raised by a single parent. My mother, she would be working day in and day out. She was not in a company. She was in showbiz. So that involves a month long away from home where she was doing her tapings, her shootings. And I was just left to my own devices. I did not have a computer. I did not have the internet. All I had was a yard with a lot of plants, soil, worms, caterpillars, and rocks. I had to be creative with how I burned my time. Yes, wow. I used to walk around outside, visit the local fish farm, chat with the other kids, play tag with them, invite them over to play wherever, adventure, just go somewhere, find some steak, something interesting. It was mostly me and my grandma. My brothers when they were there. My brothers all loved me to death, surprisingly. None of them were jerks. Thank goodness. My most reliable allies, even to this day. We would die for each other. Ard replies to Carp about the superpowers. Not that I know, but maybe I'll find out later. Unfortunately, I think the most likely superpower would be a tumor. Congratulations. You got cancer. To the previous point, says Howler. Hire someone to take care of the kid. New stream. No, I'm not having a kid in the first place, Howler. I'm a genetic dead end. I mean, I don't know if I have any bastard kids out there, but I sure as heck don't have anybody knocking on my door. Deadpool is all about tumors. That's true, and it's cool. Sticks and rocks are the OG toys. No, especially when I find an old, like, motorcycle wheel, I would just beat it with the stick so it would roll down the road. Waffle says, I once saw a mom holding her phone front of the child's face during a car ride. Probably to keep the child from stopping crying, but damn, that's sad, right? Dependence on these technologies. I love technology, but it's not that I'm inseparable from it. Damn, I never know. College was definitely an adventurous time of my life, so I may not be aware of each and every event that transpired after a certain event. Matthew says, I don't deal with kids on family except from my niece. Imagine when she gets her first phone. Oh no. Art says, chat telling me all the upsides of tumors is sending me. Maybe it's not so bad. What's a little lump here and there, Art? I see. Look, man. Back then, the funny balloon that you shouldn't inflate in public that smells like strawberry or chocolate was not the preferred thing of choice to be present. So, what I said earlier may actually hold a grain of truth. Now that I think about it, oh man. Because I went to this province one time and like the local girls, like the natives. Anyway, story for another time. In VR chat. Oh no, I get you. The things we did when we were right. You have such a handsome face, Fluffy. I would expect you to have like a genocide level of things going on. Of course, an exaggeration. A play of words, but you know what I mean. I swear that child walking past looked like me. The slits, oh my god. I hope not. I really hope not. It'll be cool. I give just a silent acknowledgement. Like, hey, you're pretty handsome. Took me a while to get that. Let's say I did get around real. Right? Fluffy knows what I mean. You know, except me, I'm USB and USB port, not USB stick and USB stick, Fluffy. I've returned. What did I miss? Oh, no, let's talk about storage devices and funny balloons. Why, Vincent Mox? A pleasure to have you here yet again.
Half
Work
a
been
year
treating you
we
well?
deployed.
Thank you for the subscription. Six months, huh? Restos has returned and said I tuned out while working on my Avi. What in the world is going on? Yeah, funny balloons and explorations. I'm doing fantastic, thanks. I hope you're doing as well too. Pretty sure you can just buy a USB adapter. I don't know, man. I kind of just stuck it straight into the proper holes on the PC, not the other things. Uh, Always worry that my flash drive would get, dirtied and corrupted. Viruses are a nasty thing. Hello, Sorlin. I can't use a smug emote, but imagine a smug emote here, yeah. Does gotta use some force sometimes. I tried that I was so worried that the solder joints on the USB would break. Like, wow, it's so like tight. I should not do that again. No wonder there's a certain orientation where you should plug the device, right? So there's no problem. I guess I was a worrywart more than anything. Yeah, imagine the loss of data. A USB-C? Oh, I completely avoid those. No. It means that port has been really used a lot, and who knows what sort of virus could be residing in that operating system. Such is the case of public computers, where I used to have to print my files. Right? And I didn't use any antivirus, too. Because, gosh, those are such inconvenient things that just get in the way. And I like my data nice and raw, quick in the exchange. Recursive maintenance. The USB-A into a USB-C port. Now that was
Keep them
challenging.
alive at a time I can finally catch a stream.
My goody goodness if it isn't cool, darling. A pleasure to see you again, oh great avatar maker. And the dancing videos I saw on your Twitter, that I didn't know you could move your body that way. I gotta see that in person, that's amazing. Yes, welcome to the stream and thank you for the subscription. It's already been 4 months, imagine. Oh, we were just talking about Windows Defender and viruses. That escalated quickly. At least use a I don't know, man. Most of the local antiviruses available here just did not work with the amount of data I had. It just wouldn't fit the bill. So I kind of just, oh well, fuck, let's just plug it in. Thank you, I like dancing a lot. Amazing. I have yet to see anybody really dance properly in VR aside from Mecha, but that's different kind of dances. Listen, when you're in an Asian country, everything's built to Asian spec, right? The size XXL helmets are like mediums in reality. So back then, the products, they were not that advanced yet. So I will stop talking from this point. Have you ever felt like having? Did you ever try buttoning up a shirt and it's just too tight in the neck, like you just can't let things out like your breath? It's terrible, isn't it? Strangulating. Who would want that? Not me. Thank you, Alex, for the bits. Tech Talk with Gift. Safety and raw USBs on public computers. Yes. Cute Litsa and Crystal. That's some good info. I need to write it down. Please, it was back then when USB 2 was just a spec. USB 3 was relatively new. Nowadays, it's data transfer is just so fast, right? His huge story, I don't know. But yeah. I do want to do more dancing in VR. It looks so fun and like a great workout. It is, absolutely. It's more tiring than I expect. Just notice, oh, I always used to flip a coin. Keeps me busy. I've seen that Just Dance well, and I know there's a few groups out there. I guess I'm a little intimidated by it. If you have the heart for it, Crystal, you should go for it. I did tell Mechatronic Dragon, my buddy, that I would be very keen on learning how to dance as well. But unfortunately, he started having complications with his knees, and that sort of went kaput. That's okay. It's not his fault. Besides, Fluffy got a free J out of jail card too because he was going to join me and said learning how to dance for beginners. Surprised you're still here, Mitzi. The firefighter training. That would suit you much better. You see, Fluffy, between you and me, you are much more rated in the fitness side of things. And surely gripping it like a two-handed claymore is more of your forte than mine. You see, I use my mouth, you use your body. Because I just chat my way, talk my way, negotiate my way with things. You, I think you're more of a physical sort of oriented character. Wait, that sounded... Anyway. I was thinking RPG, sorry. It means I'm craving for some games, I suppose. Sounds about right. Kudalin replies to Crystal. That's a good world to start at and to learn some basic moves until they get more confident. And a lot of the groups are fun. Folks are just there to stare at themselves in the video to learn, so folks are too distracted to possibly be watching you. I see. Gripping it like a two-handed claymore, we still talk about USBs. We kind of like swerve to a different direction already, aren't? Gripping it like a two-handed claymore, just right? Just yeah, I use my mouth, you use your body. Quite the thing to... Wait, I didn't mean it that way. No. Shit. I meant I'm more of a talker and Fluffy is more of a mover sort of deal. Firmly grasp it, yes. Would you hold a weapon loosely? No, right? What if it falls on your face, right? Like, oh shit, like the sword just topples over because you have a weak grip. I would never have a weak grip. You would squeeze it so hard it would turn white. I learned that from riding and shoot. Right? Riding, No shooting. Right, I forget you were a hunter. So your was just. Oh, yeah, there we go. He's just like loading up the rounds and whatnot. Those things. Yes, did you know Fluffy here actually hunts? So he's on his little hunter's perch and loads up rounds and assassinates animals. Hello, Howler. Wonder why chat devolved to all emotes. They're still 100% wholesome here, right? For sure. Speaking of craft, I found it weird. Well, I found it surprising that Mitzi streamed on Discord, right? Opened his webcam and we had to use a microscope to see it, like the tip. Because he was soldering on his board and whatnot, and yeah, that's true. You do need a zoomed in lens in order to see those minuscule traces and little joints that you're working on. Amazing to make your own slime trackers at home. We're really into hunting, yes. Fluffy says just talk about working out, motorcycle riding, weapons, interest in dancing. Ah. Mitzi's, it's so small you gotta use a microscope to see it. When it comes to crafts, yes. Hmm. And we have Art, he does it in the lab, right? Thankfully, like nothing blows up immediately and in a uncontrolled fashion. So many talented folks watching me right now. It's a continuation of last streams. I wonder what something special Geb has. Doing it with mathematical precision, right? He counts it one cell at a time. Imagine, it's just like those releases to ponds where you let the fish flow down a tube in order to populate this body of water, right? But he counts it one by one, little wriggling and swimming. Let's check Discord, what's going on there. Beth, Fluffy, and Howler are all that remain in the buff drive-thru. Still doing the summit, I assume. And here we are at 2 hours and 8 minutes. Oh. Right, after today, I'm going on a break for 2 days, aren't I? So that's a lot of VR chat Unity work for the Christmas season thingamajig and games. Oh, that means how many streams am I gonna have before Christmas? Let me check the calendar. Oh no. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm gonna have 7 streams before Christmas. Oh my goodness, that's really close. How many days to have more work? I gotta make sure this next 7 streams are worthwhile. Alright, Crystal, curious what you changed. Gabos, I'm gonna sleep because it's 11:39 p.m. in my island, but I'm tired. Bye bye. See you around, Grootey. Can you imagine Grootey has his own island? Gosh. To have my own private little plot of land surrounded by nothing but water. Sounds like a dictatorial dream. I'll just plant crops, maybe grow some cotton, hire some sun resistant workers. whip everybody into happiness. Like, hey, I have some snacks for everybody for working so hard. Come on, yeah, let's share equally. That'd be so nice. I live in Reunion Island. What is that place? I've never heard of that. Hello, Zinai. Closing one work tab every day until Christmas, like a reverse advent calendar, says Ard. Yes. Unfortunately, it would reach next year if I were to follow that. I have so many tabs. It's between Madagascar and Mauritius Island. Also, hmm, if I were to host a teeny tiny little hangout, something like an hour maybe in VR chat after stream, I wonder how many people are gonna attend. Let's see. Good night, Gertie. Snack? Give me a snack. Last stream, they bought me. Well, I ordered it, but they treated me to pizza, Mox, and I have yet to finish all of it. If you go to the food channel, you can see the overloaded cheese pizza that I just got. It's as delicious as it is calorie dense. I imagine it is a lactose intolerant person's nightmare. It would be a flatulastic disaster in the bathroom, if they can even make it. Oh, it will not be a trail of blood, but a trail of something else. That was a lot of pizza, it was. Working right now. If you're online in 5 hours, sure, says Mitzi. If I'm online in 5 hours, you better be sleeping, Mitzi. Friend visiting soon, so probably not today. Understandable, Fluffy. It's like 6 p.m. Why? Because if you were to tally the number of hours you've had in the past 4 days, would it be enough? I got 2 more hours of work, not fun. It sounds like I will be visiting the Summitio instead of playing VR chat. Oh well. Unfortunately, I can join. Fantastic! I extended the invitation. People can't go. I am completely free of fault. My conscience is clear. I can just play games. I could eat one of those alone, says Moss. I'll take care of that for you again. I can share, but don't eat everything. Let me do the math. Go ahead, Mitzi. Please. I'd be able to join until I suddenly would have to go if work people get back to me. You brought your VR stuff into the lab? Or are you at home? That's why there's 2. I'm sharing size. 1 pizza for you, 1.5 for yeah, 70-30. Perfectly split. What setup and guns are running in the division game? I'm a bulwark shielder with a pistol. What's my pistol right now? It's this modified X45. I'm trying to get the Tempest, which is supposedly dropping on the 100th floor of the summit. That's the only automatic pistol in game. I wish I could get it. Ard replies, but if there's something, I guess I could be responsible and focus and work. Oh, I'm at home. Fridays I usually work from home. I am short 10 hours this week. Well, you know what to do. Let's see. We're at 39 now. Oh, man. So tempting. God. See, I can be productive and do good things like stay in VR chat, commune with people that want to say hi and hello. Or I could ditch all that and just go straight to playing some games. Let's see. When a certain VESPER makes her way home later, most definitely it's gonna be some divisionating.